So let's continue to move on to vectorization. Vectorization. So this is something we are doing functions for the vectors. Sometimes you might not even realize you are already doing this. Let's say we have a vector x is from 1 to 4, and then we're going to multiply this vector. So this is going to be a vector having a list from 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if you're doing multiply by 2, and we can execute the lines and see what's going to happen. Bring up the console window. So each element of x has been multiplied by 2. Similarly, we can do two vectors operation. Let's say we have another vector, y goes from 5 to 9, 6 to 9. Yeah, y goes from 6 to 9. And then we're doing two vectors addition. If you execute these two lines, you can see that each element of x has been added correspondingly on the corresponding item from y. So 1, 2, 3, 4 has been added correspondingly to 6, 7, 8, 9. So that has the result of 7, 9, 11, and 13. Alternatively, since we learned the for loop, this is equivalent to what we are doing right now. If you are creating an output vector that's going to store x plus y using a for loop. So let's say we predefine an output vector, initialize, and then we're using for loop. Inside the for loop, there is an iterator that's going to be equal to a set of values, 1 to 4. And then we're going to perform actions. So for each element of vector, the output vector is going to be equal to assignment operator xi plus yi. And then if you output vector, you're going to have essentially the same 7, 9, 11, 13. So this step is to help you to understand what essentially vector operation does. They kind of do a for loop for each element of the vector. So if we execute this code chunk, you can get the same as x plus y. So plus sign from Becerra does the vector operation as well. Similarly, we can use another object to summarize, to store our previous result, x plus y. And then once you output the sum of x, y, you can expect that's going to be the same as output vector. There we go. So here's a challenge question for you.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we talked about Gapminder dataset. There is a population column. So we're going to make a new column. You might want to call pop underscore millions. So you're going to make a new column in this data set frame that contains population in units of millions of people. So essentially, you're using, for example, let's take a look at our data set. Gapminder. There is the pop variable. And then what we're doing that is for each element of pop variable, we're going to divide by 1 million to create another column called pop instead of by 1. So that's going to be a number in million, pop in million. I'll give you about 1 minute to think about and another minute to work on that. If you have any questions, you may raise your hand or you can use your red sticker if you're in person. By doing the challenge, create a new column in the dataset contain population in units of millions of people. And after you create, you can move on to another challenge. You can take a peek at next challenge question if you have done this. Great. So we're going to take a look at the solution together. We are working on the Gapminder dataset, and we're going to create this new variable called pop millions. So in order to subset this variable, you can use $ and followed by this new variable you're going to create inside this original dataset. And it's going to be calculated by using the original variable called a Gapminder pop, $pop, and then divided by 1 times 10 to the power of 6. This is equivalent to write 1 and then 6 zeros after 1. And this is a scientific notation of numbers in R. That means 1 times 10 to the power of 6. And then once you execute this one, you'll be able to find that new variable inside this data set. This new column has been created. You can also use head function to check whether you have created correctly. All right. You can also check the whole data set to verify. So original pop, this is 8,425,333. And then it's converted to pop in millions. So we're going to move on to another challenge question since we learned plotting skills. So Let's move on to our learner notes and take a look at the next challenge question.